going to start recording again. Kristen, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, what you do. Sorry, it's going to get a little loud because the garbage folks are picking up outside my door, but let you introduce yourself to the folks we have here and talk to you about what you do and what you're going to present on.
Great. I'm Kristen Hoschauer with the Utah Department of Transportation, and I'm the Zero Fatalities Program Manager. And I've been in this position for probably about 6 years now, and a little over 6 years. And yeah, it's just we're trying to, as the goal says, trying to get to zero fatalities through our messaging and education. And so I am going to present today on what we're doing this summer. As you probably all know, it's the 100 deadliest days of summer right now. We're in it. And I'm going to see if I can actually let me put in presentation mode first. Optimize for video clips, right? I actually have a lot of videos, so this will be really fun. You guys won't have to listen to me the whole time. Okay, can you see my screen? Because I can't see you anymore now. So, let me know if you can see it.
Yep, we can see it great.
Okay, great. So is it moving forward? No.
Not yet. There we go. Well, I can see now. I can see your emails.
That's weird. Okay, maybe I need to change something. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Don't know what's going on. Let me go back to Zoom. Sorry, I can't see anything, and
we can see a great picture of you and your husband, and now your email.
And I honestly don't know where Zoom is because I need to change something. So
I was like, I can see it along your bottom, but that's just on the screen I'm looking at.
Another screen. I'm so sorry, you guys.
No, it's okay. We've all adapted to these lovely IT things that happen. So
okay, let me see. Okay. Okay, that's better. Okay. There. Now I might be able to move forward. Okay, now I can move forward. That was really weird. Can you hear me still?
Yes, we can still hear you and we're seeing it.
Okay, great. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're in the middle of 100 deadliest days, but this spring, and I'm sure you might have seen this as well, we had a huge number of fatalities. It just it jumped in March where we just saw so many people dying on our roads, and we started getting really nervous. Like what is our summer going to look like? And it's just devastating when you start seeing crashes and fatalities go up when it was springtime. And so you can see here, this is our report card. Right now, we're at 141 for 2022 fatalities for the year. And last year at this time, we were 137. And thankfully, this month, we've actually started tapering off on fatalities. And as soon as I say that, I feel like something bad is going to happen. But yeah, it's just been so bad this spring. And so we actually decided to do something a little bit out of the norm. We wanted to bring one of our spots that we had created last year and put it on television and really get it out there into social media. So we actually brought this one back in May before 100 Deadliest Days so that we could, just really get that message out there that we're seeing all this happening. And so this is called, it's the excuses we make when we're behind the wheel. Like, what are some of the lies that we're telling ourselves? And so some of you might have seen this, but this is the spot that we played from like the beginning of May until, or like actually it was more like April until the end of May when we started 100 Deadliest Days.
Speeding's just in my nature.
I've always just had a lead foot.
To be honest, I drive better high.
I'm a multitasker. Texting
Hours and hours.
even hours. I feel my parents never wear their
driver's speed much more.
I mean, well, I drive for years.
So yeah, this was kind of a hard-hitting spot that we showed last year, and we brought it back again. And hopefully this really sinks in with people to realize that this is not okay for people to be speeding like they're doing, and to be driving impaired, and to be distracted, and to just really focus when we're behind the wheel. All right. And then in May, we did a press event with this wonderful woman, Jordan. She is just so dynamic and so well spoken, and she came and spoke for us at our press event. And her husband died in a car crash a few years ago, with her and her daughter in the car. And I'll actually let you hear the story from them.
We were in a car accident. This lady was sleeping. She hit us. And then my dad died. I must die.
I tell people all the time, I married the boy that I've loved since I was 12. And our life was just so good. And up until everything that happened, my life was so easy. It was so blissful. In the matter of seconds, our whole life changed forever. So we were on our way to Temple Square in Salt Lake City to see the lights because it was Christmas time, and it was my husband Devin, myself, and my little girl Lila, and we were meeting my family in Salt Lake. So we were heading south towards Salt Lake, and another car coming northbound crossed over 3 lanes of traffic. The girl had stayed up until 4:30 a.m. out with friends, and then she'd woken up at 7:30. A driver had fallen asleep, and she hit us head on, which from there we proceeded to roll 6 times, and my husband passed away within minutes. My entire life fell apart because of someone else's choice, something that never should have happened and could have been prevented, and it wasn't. I don't go a day without feeling the depth of that loss. It's not just you, it's you and everyone else that's on the road as well, that you are saying every time you get behind that wheel, as you hold that license, that you will do it cognitively, that you will do it to the best of your ability, and that you will do it safely. You have 2 choices when you drive drowsy. You can drive drowsy and hope you'll make it to your destination safely, or you can make sure you get to your destination safely by taking the right steps and the right precautions to do that. At 24, I found myself a widow and my 2-year-old without a dad, all because someone drove drowsy. Because of someone else's irresponsible choice, our entire life was shattered. I just plead and I beg people to think twice before they enter into that social contract of keeping other people safe on the road and doing their part to be responsible, and to think of our little family and think about how this is where our life is now, a little girl without a dad, and a family that's now broken because of that choice, and to do all that you can on your part to ensure that you drive as safely and as cognitively as you can so that other people don't have to be where we are.
Okay. And I just love what she says about when you kind of like sign that social contract, that you're basically saying that you are going to drive to the best of your abilities. And so that was a really moving message that we had at the end of May. And Jordan was able to go on different television shows and talk about her story, which was really great. Now you can see here, it's on our website. We have a full version can be found at zerofatalities.com, our homepage, or on the Drive Alert page. You can share this message with your friends and loved ones if you'd like. And now on to our campaign for this summer, and we started this at the end of May. And rather than focus on the negative aspects of high fatalities for the entire summer, we're taking a more positive kind of quality of life approach to encourage Utahns to practice safe driving behaviors. So you can see here, this is for our creative approach, we wanted to capture the moments of life's travel destinations and the act that makes them all possible, which is driving. Here are ads that remind us that the beautiful memories we make are only possible when we drive to our destination safely. And you can see here, this is kind of a billboard, and it's also going to be online of some of the destinations that we could get to when we drive safely in Utah. This is one of our ads, and I'll play it for you. Okay, and you can see here, this is, one of the fun things that we like to do in Utah in the summertime is, go to a rodeo, do things that are outdoors and really fun. And the best way to get there is to do those 5 behaviors there. So drive alert, focus, calm, sober, and buckle. So that's one of our spots for this summer. And then this one I have been trying to play all day, and I don't think it's going to work. Nope, it's not. But it is actually a campfire, and you can see people are roasting marshmallows, and then they're playing games in their tent. And it's just like, what a lot of families do in the summer. We go camping and spend a lot of time outside in the outdoors and in the mountains. So that one's a fun spot. You'll probably see that on television as well. And then here's another one. This one's more focused on ride sharing and making sure that you have like a ride share scheduled for the fun that you have in the summer too. So play that one. Okay. You can see here, once again, we're partnering with our organizations throughout the state to share the destination's message. We're giving out banners and all kinds of things. So these are actually some of the banners that we have. You can see people, going to our lakes and camping and bike riding. And then these are some of the fun swag items that we'll be handing out and we give these to basically anyone who wants them, who has events and that would like to hand them out. So we have the red bags that we're going to be handing out. We have the green stickers that people love to put on their water bottles in the summertime. And then we have these banners that people can put up as well. And we also have a water bottle, which is not pictured here. And it's an insulated water bottle that we won't necessarily hand it out to everyone. Like when a lot of people come to our booths, the things we usually give out the stickers or something. But, if there's something special that they've done, like if they've, completed like a quiz or something, maybe we'll give them like a bag or like a water bottle. So, if you have any events that you'd like to have Zero Fatalities attend, or if you'd like to use some of our swag for different items, for different events that you have, and you'd like to encourage people to drive safely in the summer and hand these out with that message, we'd love to, give those to you guys to help spread that message. Let's see here. Actually, and then moving on we actually are going to continue the destinations campaign, not just for the summer, but we're going to continue it into the fall and winter. And these are some of our spots for the fall that I just thought I'd share with you guys as well. and out there leaf peeping, reminding people to drive safely. Now this next spot I'm going to show, this one actually aired in January and February, so you might have already seen it, but we're going to put it back out there again in December. So we've been running this campaign since January actually, and we're going to continue it through December of this year. So it's an entire year. But this one. And then this spot is for the holidays and reminding people to drive safely and to make it to their family get-togethers that they have. And we'll air that one probably starting in November. And we have these social winter toolkits that we can share with people to put on social media if you'd like those as well. So, and that is all I have. So I will stop sharing.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Kristen. I love working with Kristen and Zero Fatalities. If you follow me on our trauma Twitter page, you'll see me retweet a lot of stuff that they put out as far as driving safely and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to open it up. Does anybody have any questions for Kristen? She can stay on for about another 10-15 minutes. So she won't be on at the end for questions. So do you guys have anything you'd like to ask her, talk with her about, or anything that Zero Fatalities is doing? Yep, Allie loves the campaigns.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, this is Wendy. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Wendy, we can.
Hey, so I'm in Idaho, and I'm wondering, have you ever considered partnering with other states in your immediate region or even like across the country? Because this is a fantastic campaign and a great message for not just your state, but all states.
Yeah, we occasionally talk with other states. A lot of states don't use Zero Fatalities. They have like a Vision Zero plan, or they have different with either their Department of Public Safety or with their Department of Transportation. They'll have some kind of zero goal. And so they'll have like a program like Zero Fatalities. And we have worked a little bit with them. And we would love to share our videos and any of our items that we can, like social posts or whatever, with other states. And yeah, I mean, I'm not against that. It's really just sharing those videos with the different states. And I do feel like Idaho, since they're very close, we can share very similar videos and destinations. I think it would look very similar in Utah. And yeah, I mean, that's actually a really great idea. Thank you.
Thank you for considering it. I don't even know who you would reach out to, but I think it's a marvelous idea. And just as a plug for your Zero Fatalities campaign, I frequent Utah, driving down to Payson where my family lives. And I see your over the interstate signs on those black billboards occasionally. I can't remember anything specific right now, but I do see the word Zero Fatalities on there and some cute messages. So it's out there and people are seeing it, because I've seen it and didn't really understand what that was. I understood the message, obviously, but it's great. So thanks for trying to get the message out there, and hopefully it makes more people aware.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a team of people who create those messages, and we try to keep them our fun messages to one a week. So right now they're Friday messages, and we'll have another message this Friday that we'll share on those boards, and that is kind of it's a behavioral safety message for people on the roads, whether it's to buckle up or drive sober or whatever. It's always one of those behaviors on our Friday messages. Yeah.
And I think they're really creative because they usually go along with like movies that just came out
Yeah.
or holidays or.
We have a whole calendar. We've been doing it since 2015. So we're starting to actually reuse some of our messages from when we first started, because it's not always easy to come up with brand new messages every week for, what is it, 7 years now?
Yeah. Which is okay. I don't mind seeing the same messages. I smile every time I see them.
Yeah, that's a fun part of Zero.
Yeah. Right. Anybody else have any questions for Kristen while she's here? And
Sorry, I just had one more comment.
yes, please.
We have those same black over the interstate billboards. I'm sure they're throughout the whole country. And it seems like that would be really easy to share across multiple states too, whoever's in charge of those messages. Because I've seen, I feel like there was one about Top Gun and there was one about Star Wars not too long ago. And I feel like those would be very easily to share. Right now, our billboards just are talking about Yellowstone being closed. And so it would be neat to see some of those other summer travel messages digitally in our state too. So I don't know how you'd go about finding that, but spread the word. It's great.
Yeah, we've actually shared a lot of our messages from other states, and we've actually used messages from other states ourselves. And it's really up to like the DOTs if they want to share those messages on their boards. Some states don't allow it on their boards. Some states have been doing this for a while now, and like Ohio, we share messages back and forth all the time with each other. It's just funny what states you've heard who've done it before. I know Massachusetts does it, and Washington State does it, and we've kind of shared messages back and forth. I don't know if Idaho does, but if they would, I mean, whenever a state contacts me, and they occasionally do, I share my calendar and all of our library of messages with them, and they'll share their messages with us too. The only thing we have is if it's our message we originated, we get to share it first, because sometimes they go viral on social media. Like people will take pictures, and not that they should be doing that while they're driving, but it can really spread quickly. So we just say, we'll share these with you, but we have to post it first. So.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I love it. I love the new upbeat kind of not focusing on the 100 deadliest days of focusing on just safe travel to have fun and get out there. So it was a great switch. All right. Any other questions? All righty. Well, thank you again, Kristen. I always love having you on here and sharing your guys' message. It's always fun. I'm going to get into kind of the medical part of it right now. And Allie, I'm going to pick on you and ask if you'll watch the chat for me, because just like Kristen, I can't see the screen or the chat very well when I share my screen. But please feel free to come off mute, put things in the chat. I want this to be interactive. But the first thing I'm going to share, if I can see what screen I want first, is I want to share with you guys. Let me make sure I'm on my statistics, kind of where I get the information that I look for education. And I look at this as my job is injury prevention. And for those of you that don't know me, I should probably introduce myself a little bit. I know you guys have been on here. I'm just not always the one presenting. So I'm the Trauma Injury Prevention and Outreach Coordinator for the University of Utah Health. I've been with the trauma program for about 2.5 years now. I've been with the university for just over 13 years and came from their emergency department, worked on several committees there, and then have an additional background, which I'm not going to tell you how long because I don't like to date myself that much, of EMS. So I worked EMS in Salt Lake County for a very long time. So I love this kind of education side of it. And I look at myself as a healthcare provider. My job is, and everybody's job as a healthcare provider is education. I don't, and this is my own personal opinion, I don't give my patients advice. I give them education, and then they can make their own informed consent kind of on decisions they make or things they do. So I feel very passionate about educating our other healthcare providers with resources, knowledge, statistics. So in turn, when you have patients that come in with similar injuries, or things like that, then you're also able to help them understand the risks. It kind of takes out that personal opinion. It's just like, hey, these are the statistics, these are the studies, these are the information, and our recommendation for you to stay safe. So I just look at this, it's the crash data and statistics. So this is specifically for Utah. Wendy, I'm not sure if Idaho has one that's similar, but I can look up just the Utah crash summary. And so when I'm looking at education, especially when I'm looking at road safety, I want to see what is the Utah crash summary? What do I need to focus on? What kind of things are we looking at? So this is for 2021. The one thing I absolutely love about this is I can change this to 2022 and have all up to date. So I could take out this filter and add 2022. Just to give you guys a background, last year, almost 6,100, 494 total crashes. Property damage, you can see that. Injuries, so there was 18,250 injuries, 293 fatal crashes. And then it looks at the sum of all these kind of crashes by year, by severity. So there's a lot of things that are no injury, possible injury. But the biggest thing we want to bring down is, one, the number of crashes, and two, the fatalities. So I actually want to bring up 2022. I'm going to bring this up if I can get to the very bottom. No, it's not going to let me do that. Sorry, I'm just going to move some stuff around here. There we go. Take that out, that out. There we go. Sorry, it just takes me a minute to get there. So now I'm going to look up here and saying we're in June, and remember there were 61,000 last year. Almost mid-year, we're about that along that same line. So 24,900 crashes. Injury count, almost 7,000, and we're at 128 total fatal crashes by looking at this. So when I look at this, I'm like, okay, where can I impact? So I want to know why are these crashes happening? Teen drivers are a big impact right now in our crashes, our older drivers, speed related, holiday related, distracted driving. So looking at this, unrestrained. So there's 809 unrestrained driving. So this is what I look at, it's crashes, people going straight ahead. Turning left is the next that I'm teaching people. So I want to teach people, you want to be super careful when you're driving just forward. If you're driving distracted, are you going to, rear end somebody in front of you? Are you driving aware? So are you seeing a big picture? Are you seeing any of the barriers that might be to driving? So are you driving behind a big truck and coming up to a light? And can you see if that light is red or green? It might be green when you saw it ahead of the truck, but at that point in time, it might be turning red. Now, I do know in the state of Utah that 3 cars go after red all the time, which happens all the time. So if you're coming through the intersection, you've got to know that Utah, it happens. A red light, you need to make sure you clear that intersection, especially turning left, stopping in a lane, slowing in a traffic lane. So turning right, parked cars. So again, this is crashes by how this happens, contributing fatality. So always fail to keep in the proper lane is the biggest of fatalities. Failed to yield to the right of way, or ran off the road. These are big things that I look at as, okay, why are these crashes happening? So like I looked at, fatal crashes, failed to keep in proper lane. Just all crashes is usually failed to yield the right of way. So again, looking to see, is it clear to turn? Is it clear to merge into your own lane of traffic? Especially on the freeway, when I know that I have to lead by example. So I always set my cruise control and it doesn't go over 75 unless I have to pass someone, or I know that I'm not in a safe situation. Like I don't like the pace car things of people driving right next to me because I know that I don't have an escape route. So just looking at those type of things that I need to lead by example. So even though I'm going 75, I've got people flying by me. So looking at, again, why are these crashes happening? What can I teach people? What can I teach my family and loved ones? So this is one of the things that I look at all the time. And then I want to know where is it happening? So looking at Salt Lake County always has the highest level of crashes. Again, we just have a lot of different cities. We are a large county, but if you look to the right on the map, you can see where these crashes are happening. And if you can see, obviously these we know are freeways. I-80 going up here, I-80 going out that way. So you can see it's not always on the rural roads that it's happening. It's most likely on these large junctions. The red dots are fatalities that you can see on there. Orange is suspected serious injury, peach is suspected minor injury, and then the navy blue is no injury. So a lot of crashes are happening, and I'm happy to say that there's no injury, but that risk increases. So like I said, I do like to just kind of share with you guys where I get my information and what I am seeing and why, you know, this is my why, right? So I can look at this and find out why. And now we'll go into my presentation. I'm going to start it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can fix that and not have nope, because I'm having a struggle today. And if you can hear snoring in the background, that is my 16-year-old beagle, and she snores a lot. Okay, so right now I can't see the chat at all, and I didn't put a title on this, my apologies. But as we're talking about speed and high energy crashes, and anybody who works in trauma or crashes, you have to know that law of conservation of energy. The energy can either be destroyed or created, but it can change form. So energy, when you hit something, has to be transferred, right? So that moving energy, that kinetic energy must be transferred onto the object impacted. And so when you're thinking of driving safety or you're thinking of roadway safety, this is something that you have to consider is where is that energy transfer? How again, and that comes along with speed, size of what they impact, size of the vehicle you were driving, where you were impacted. So that all goes to that essence of trauma, and that energy is where is it transferring? And then again, if a vehicle is traveling at a high rate of speed, when it impacts an object, the energy force can be quadrupled. So thinking about that, when you've got patients coming in, when you get reports, or if you're EMS and you get report from dispatch, thinking about this, what was the energy transfer? And so knowing that energy transfer goes along to the mechanism of injury. Now, to me, the mechanism of injury is not my end all be all. This is what I'm going to base my entire care on. We do have to look at the big picture, but it can paint me a really good story. So this just goes over what mechanism of injury is, significant mechanisms of injury. So thinking about this of ejection from a vehicle, your high speed incidents, and your vehicle versus pedestrian or cyclist or scooter, which we're going to do a little case study at the end of this with the scooter. So knowing that mechanism of injury, knowing that energy transfer helps you anticipate what the needs are going to be of your patients. It helps you anticipate what injuries they might possibly have. And so then you can prepare. If you're driving to a scene, so if you're working EMS and you're driving to a scene and you hear this, we know that a lot of times it can be overestimated on a scene, or it's not quite what you, definitely not quite what you thought of when you're arriving to that scene. But at least if you're prepared and you're like, okay, I probably will need this. I can anticipate I need this. So if it's a rollover accident, you're thinking of, okay, how fast were they going? Is it going to be safe upon scene? What do I need to do to secure the vehicle? What do I need to do to stabilize the patient in the meantime? So thinking all of these things. And again, it can indicate what injuries EMS providers, and then same thing when EMS providers are calling into the hospital and into the ER, it helps the ER decide, okay, what kind of injuries are we anticipating? So knowing these kind of things. And I just want to share with you guys a study that was done on the impact of speeds on drivers and vehicle results from crash tests. And this was published in 2019 from the Insurance Institute with crashworthiness. So thinking about this, so 64 actually went up. I did the conversion for 80 kilometers an hour. I gotta look where I wrote it down. Is equals here 49.7 miles per hour, and 90 kilometers an hour is 55.9 miles per hour. So I want us to think about that as none of those are freeway speeds. Okay, so freeway is 70 miles an hour, right? And so thinking about this, when they did the crashes, they did it on all the same vehicle across the board and just increased the speeds. Now, the average vehicle they looked at was on the roads right now is about 10 to 11 years old. So they based it on that. And so looking at, again, just by going up from, 40 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour to 55.9, that small amount of speed can really decrease the structure's integrity. And it decreases the ability for those safety mechanisms that are in place in most cars to absorb that energy or to help protect you in that crash. So I think about, maybe some of the newer cars right now, I can drive on a straight road. And before I know it, if I don't set my cruise control on a 40 mile an hour speed limit zone, I'm going 60. It's just so easy to do. But then I have to think, I'm like, cars are pulling out, there could be pedestrians. I'm putting everybody at risk by driving that fast, and there's no need for it. So thinking about these crash that's their increase in head and neck injuries, your increase in chest injuries, your increase in leg injuries. So if you look at the bottom, good, so green is the highest rating, acceptable. So you can see that some of the restraints, some of the chest injuries, even at the 50 miles an hour are acceptable, but very few just going up to that 55.9 miles an hour. The integrity of the car didn't stay intact. The function of the seatbelts, the function of the airbags did not stay intact at all. And if you want to, at the end, I've got my references where you can look at this study. I had some really interesting pictures just to show the difference of the steering wheel coming up, and then that changes where the airbag actually deploys. So instead of hitting your face straight on, maybe it's coming up under the neck and causing more neck injuries. So thinking about that, a speed plays a big factor, or can play a big factor, but you do have to look at, again, what kind of vehicle were they driving? What kind of safety mechanisms did they have? And some people walk away from an injury that you go up on scene and you're like, wow, I don't know how you walked away from that. So I just want to ask, impacts in motor vehicle crashes. Have you guys heard of the first, second, and third impact? And if so, will you guys either come off mute and let me know, or say in the chat, what is the first impact in a motor vehicle collision?
Isn't the first impact usually like with the other object, another car, wall, whatever it is?
Yeah. Oh, now I'm going to go backwards. Sorry. I'm going to give you all of them. Yes. So first impact, immovable object impacts with the other object. Second impact is the body now impacts with the inside of the car. So whatever that may be, the steering wheel, the windshield. Again, or if they're ejected, that second impact could be the environment, the windshield, whatever that is. And then third impact is your internal structures hitting the front of the body in the body cavities. So you've got three different impacts you have to think of in a motor vehicle crash. Is one, where's that transfer of energy in that first impact? So you've already got that moving energy. So again, what have they impacted? What have they hit? What stopped them? And again, the size of that. So, and then again, how were the safety mechanisms in the vehicle? Did the airbags deploy? Did the seatbelts work? Did they actually star the windshield? Did they hit the steering wheel? And then again, thinking of, okay, I'm thinking about all these things, what they hit, that energy transfer. Now, did they go into the steering wheel? Maybe the airbag didn't deploy. And now what has happened with their organs or internal structures that are coming to a stop, and how fast were they coming to a stop? Same thing. So you think of that whiplash injury of coming forward and then going back, right? And you think of that might be whiplash, but then what's happened to your brain when you're going into those? So I always like to think about thinking of the impact and the energy transfer when you've got a motor vehicle crash coming up, so you can anticipate injuries. So I'm going to start with this case review. I'm going to try and stay on time here. So if I don't know, I didn't see if there's any EMS that logged on, but thinking if there's EMS that are there, if you've worked EMS in the past and you get a 22-year-old male scooter versus vehicle, Because unfortunately, especially in Salt Lake Valley, we've got a lot of the scooters going around. And you're going to find more often than not, these people are not going to be wearing helmets. Positive loss of consciousness, obvious face and neck injuries, confusion and agitation, 50 to 100 cc's estimated blood loss on scene. And there are their vital signs. So if you're thinking just EMS, if you're going to scene and this is what you hear, or if you're a nurse in the ER and this is what you hear, what kind of things are you thinking of? What kind of injuries are you anticipating? What kind of treatment are you anticipating? And maybe what more information might you want to know? Yep, sorry, I'm pulling up the chat. So if it goes across the screen, yeah, possible head injury, right?
Jamie, can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, great. My microphone wasn't working earlier.
Yeah. What about anybody else? What makes you think of this? What kind of information? Are you okay with this information? Do you want more information? And what kind of injuries are you anticipating? If this patient, if you're either whether responding or this patient's coming into the ER.
I'd want to know where their blood loss was coming from. If it was coming from maybe their face and their neck, or if there's another source of bleeding.
Yep.
I'd want a CT of their head for sure to see if we've got bleeding going inside. We've got confusion and agitation and they lost consciousness. Definitely head and neck stuff going on there. We need to check out.
Absolutely.
I'd also
go ahead, Ellie.
I'd be wondering, it's scooter versus vehicle, no helmet. So maybe some more information about the crash itself. Like if the scooter, if the vehicle ran over the person, or if it hit the person laterally or, head on.
Yeah. You want to know where that transfer of energy went, right? Was the scooter moving at the time? Were they stopped at the time? I would like to know possibly if they knew how fast the vehicle was going, the traveling that hit them. And like Ali said, where was the impact? Did they just knock them over? Did the person come up onto the hood of the car? Were they thrown 10 feet? So there's some mechanisms of injury here that in my mind, I'm thinking about, because that's going to help me a little bit more. I also look at the Glasgow Coma Score. So to me, the Glasgow Coma Score can be very subjective, but I want to know, where are they losing points? So even if someone says, they're losing their Glasgow 13 for the confusion and agitation, but eye-opening and motor response is all good. Awesome, that tells me that. Or they lost a point for eye-opening and they lost a point for confusion in their Glasgow Coma Score. So kind of knowing, again, where are they losing points? I think we all can go in and say, hey, they're a Glasgow 10. Well, why? What are they losing points for? What am I thinking about? Am I thinking of a spinal cord injury because motor isn't good? Am I thinking of altered mental status because of a head injury or because of hypovolemic shock? Where are they losing points? So, and then like I said, you're anticipating a head CT, things like that. Allie, the blood loss was from her head and kind of face. That's where that was. Bleeding had been controlled on scene, but the rat or the clothing that they had used was soaked with blood by the time EMS got there. So what else does that put into your mind?
Maybe it's a little bit more than 100 cc's of blood loss.
Right. So yeah, so you want to, and I'm thinking about things like this. So just to share with you guys what injuries this patient had: right subdural with a midline shift, a little bit of a subarachnoid, a skull fracture, and a vertebral artery injury. She was able to be admitted to the ICU. I know that first it said 7-year-old male. Sorry, it was a 22-year-old female. admitted to the ICU, discharged after 7 days, and is continuing to have cognitive deficits that is impacting her daily living and has balance deficits. So thinking about this, what kind of education when you discharge this patient are you going to provide?
Safety interventions like wearing a helmet.
Yes. And they tell you, well, the scooters are right there and they don't offer helmets. So how am I supposed to just carry one with me? Because that's something that I've heard multiple times.
That's a really good point, Jamie. I think it would be hard to have the scooter companies offer helmet rentals. I think there could be a lot of details with that would be really challenging to work out. But, I think you would have to educate your patient and just say that that's the choice that you make when you decide to ride a scooter. You should be bringing a helmet with you.
Mm-hmm. And that's hard education to have, right? Is understanding that this person had also, there was an admittance of ETOH on board. This happened at about 1:30 in the morning. So adding those factors into it, I like to just add things as we go in. What makes you think about there? Does that change your education at all?
I think it would be good to educate the person that the scooter is still technically a motor vehicle, right?
Mhm.
So just because it's not a car doesn't mean that it's a great idea to ride a scooter while intoxicated.
Mm-hmm. And just saying, hey, if that's your choice and this is what you do, these are the risks that you take, and especially not wearing a helmet, as this person now has a traumatic brain injury at a young age that might never be the same. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one because I know we only have a few minutes left. I don't want to keep you guys. 60-year-old, I'd like to just write year-old male. This was another female, I apologize. Rear end MVC. Was restrained, unknown speed. So just so you guys know, the rear end of this is they were coming off an off ramp, because I can talk today, and rear-ended a semi-truck, which caused them to lose control of their vehicle. When they came up, she's complaining of neck and chest and left lower extremity pain. They found the left foot was rotated outward, pale, and unable to palpate pulses. Just so you guys know, this was an open fracture. Here's your vital signs: Glasgow of a 15, full C-spine. So what are you guys thinking? If you were either dispatched to this call or this is what you hear coming into for your facility, what are you preparing for? And thinking of that mechanism and energy transfer, are there other injuries that you are anticipating beyond what is shown there? Because that open fracture can be a huge distracting injury, correct? So what other injuries are you anticipating?
She could have a sternal fracture from a seatbelt.
True.
Rib fractures, collarbone.
Yeah. And at 60, does that increase her recovery or her ability to maybe and her mortality?
Yes.
What else? What else are you guys thinking about this one?
I'm thinking we have the potential for many different types of shock here. I mean, if they hit their chest, they could end up, having cardiogenic shock. You could have hypovolemic shock from the blood loss, potentially, if it's an open fracture. Yeah, there are lots of different things that could be going on for sure.
And you think about how fast were they going to hit the semi to lose control of their vehicle? It wasn't just coming to a complete stop, right? It wasn't hitting the semi and done. There was a rotation and a loss of control of this vehicle. So sharing the injuries, open ankle fracture, lots of things happen in there. All the fractures down there, the pseudoaneurysm, the biphil 3, so that vertebral artery injury, and then ribs. So you guys called it, you're thinking about sternal fractures, rib fractures, whatever you're thinking of, right and left side rib fractures. So what's kind of those things you have to think of, especially with, I know that 60 isn't in that kind of range of over 65, but when you think about the older population and rib fractures, what are their complications?
Respiratory issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not going to be the rib fractures that gets them, it's their the pneumonia. And then thinking about the partially angulated, is that something that they have to consider plating? This gal did not get any plating. She was in the hospital for 10 days and then discharged home. Obviously had some surgical repair of the ankle, but didn't have to have any other surgical repair. And you think about what I would think of as, okay, awesome, because what kind of vehicle was she driving? Which is information I didn't know. She did hit a semi, so there's that larger impact, that larger transfer of energy. If she is displaced and broken ribs on the right and left side, when she lost control, you're thinking it's 2 through 5, 7, and 8, and then you have 1 through 7. So this isn't going to just be caused by the seatbelt. Thinking about something, did she hit hard enough that maybe she did the airbag did not provide what it needed to provide? So I always just think about that energy transfer. Here's my references. Kind of at that bottom is, like I said, that study that they did on the crash test. And another thing that they talked about, and I'm just going to stop sharing, we're going to talk about this real quick, is that unfortunately, what states are doing now is they're actually raising the posted speed limit to meet the average speed of travel. And is that really the right answer to reduce these injuries? I know that, so thinking about that is not everybody can afford a brand new car that maybe has better safety features, that maybe is built to more, absorb that energy transfer. And so if we are continually just raising the speed limit or the posted speed limit so that people can drive as fast as they want, are we really doing them any good by keeping them safe? So talking about the fact that when they implemented the seatbelt laws, our fatalities and injuries went down. The implementation of backup cameras, right, has decreased the amount of child injury, because usually it's the kids that are getting run over in the back. And so any new car that comes up now has to have those backup cameras. So I always look at it as raising the speed limit is not the answer. Driving the posted speed limit, or like I said, I'm on the freeway, not more than 5. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes to drive that. But and again, I have to be able to say is if I'm going to teach injury prevention, I have to practice what I preach, right? I have to be able to be that one that's going to say, somebody might be like 2 feet behind me because I am going 35 in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. But then I have to stop and think, are they paying attention to the kids that are playing, to the pedestrians on the side of the road, to the stop the sign that's coming up that I know is there, but a tree is blocking it. So coming up to that, that barrier that I might not see. So I always think about, I love to have, to bring those injuries down, driving more aware and seeing the big picture. Another study that they did, was with inattention with drivers. This was older adult drivers versus younger drivers. And they found that the older adult drivers actually had more inattention, but once it was brought to their attention of what they didn't notice, they made an adjustment in their driving. Our younger population between 20 and 40 did not. So they're like, yeah, I get that I'm not attending, I'm not paying attention to that, but I'm not going to change my habits. So, just talking to people again about what are the things that you think of? And I'm just asking you guys, you don't have to say this out loud, but if you're willing to say things that you notice that when you drive, you can do better. And like Kristen put it there, what are the lies that we tell ourselves every day when we drive? If you're working night shifts, well, I have to get home, right? And I couldn't sleep the day before because I had to take care of my kids. Are there other options? And sometimes there's not. And like I said, sometimes you might just have to pull over. I've driven home multiple times with the windows down in the middle of winter because I worked night shifts for a long time. I'm pretty sure my family told me I slept through an entire light one time that I don't remember. And these are things that just wasn't the most safe choice for me or the other people on the roads. So If you guys want to share any experience that you've had, or just, make a mental note to yourself on things that you might change, just one little thing at a time that you change with your driving, or that you encourage your family or friends to do, can change a lot, can bring down those crash ratings. I'm going to launch our post presentation poll. And do you guys have any questions? Like I said, comments, anything you guys want to share as you guys are answering these polling questions?